What is up, everybody? I'm here with a Big Brother Live Feeds update for BB27. It's Sunday, July 20th. If you didn't see my video yesterday, I am traveling, so I don't have my microphone with me, so my audio is probably going to be kind of crackly if you're on earphones. My apologies for that, but this is what I got to do for the next week and a half. But I'm still going to update Big Brother when I can. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the alliances in this season so far not meaning anything. I've complained for so many seasons right here about how the alliances basically ruled Big Brother and made it just so bad and boring. So it's nice to see that so many people are in so many different alliances, which means nobody is really aligned with anyone. I would say Morgan and Zach are probably in the most alliances, but none of those alliances mean anything. So I'm really hoping that we do stick with voting blocks this season. I think it's very possible. We saw that eventually Survivor kind of evolved into voting blocks. So I would love for Big Brother to continue to evolve this way. And this actually did kind of start with Suri, but I'm not going to go into that because that season did have people voting with the house way too much anyway. But alas, good to see voting blocks in Big Brother. So speaking of Morgan, who is in a lot of alliances, she is kind of a mess. Morgan is one of the most active players so far this season. She's always trying to make new alliances. It always seems like pretty much all the alliances she has tried to make must include Zach, because Morgan is kind of down bad for Zach. And Morgan keeps trying to not be she's saying she's being subtle, but she's not being very subtle when it comes to showing her interest in Zach, despite Zach pretty much already letting her know that she is not Zach's type. I think Morgan's getting pretty cringe with the whole Zach situation, and I would like to think she's gonna get better with that over time, but I'm not. Right now it's been cringe. The past 24 hours, Morgan has gotten more cringe when it comes to the Zach problem. Morgan has a Zach problem. Honestly, Ashley kind of has a Zach problem too. I don't think Ashley is actually interested in Zach that way. I really don't. I think that Ashley just trusts Zach for some reason, because Ashley doesn't have a lot of people that trust her. Her read there is totally wrong. She has a lot of good reads, which I will get to some of more of them. But when it comes to Zach, the read is bad because Zach will put Ashley all up on the block. Ashley has clocked Morgan, though. I already said yesterday about how she is going after Morgan and trying to get Morgan out pretty much. But Ashley has Morgan clocked that Morgan is kind of tied to everyone. And she did try to warn Rachel today. Another thing that Ashley is right about is Lauren. She's called out Lauren's under the radar game. And it seems like Lauren doesn't actually have a game, but Lauren always comes into rooms and is very observant. I would say that it looks like, if you watch Lauren on the feeds at all, like she is not playing at all because she's not making any moves. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing so early in the game to kind of like be in the background. This is such a long game. Big Brother is the epitome of the long game. So I can't fault Lauren for that. Now eventually she will have to turn on the light switch onto her game. But for now, I think Ashley's read is pretty good on Lauren. Ashley has some good reads. She has some bad ones too. But I actually think she has more good than bad. It's just the way she goes about them is kind of hurting her social game. Ashley's social game is what sucks. And she doesn't have the agency to get her good reads across and push things in the right direction. Let's move on to Keanu and Rachel today, who got into it a bit when Keanu was bringing up Rachel from Big Brother 12 and only bringing up the times when Rachel was basically getting into arguments and kind of getting slayed in arguments. Rachel got upset, walked away from Keanu, and later they had a conversation where she kind of got mad at Keanu again. I think personally that Keanu enjoys getting under Rachel's skin, and I do think it has been a part of Keanu's plan. As I said about him yesterday, Keanu seems to be totally fine with making the target on his back just grow bigger by the day. And today he was talking about how he wants to get rid of Rachel's allies one by one and basically isolate her. But to me, Keanu really should be worried about his own lack of allies instead of getting out Rachel's, because Keanu's social game is ass. Uh, just before I recorded this, Rachel and Keanu were having a talk, kind of trying to make up, I guess. Rachel did want to work with Keanu when the feeds first came on. She was actively trying, and Amy and Ashley were trying to warn her about Keanu. And since then, Keanu has showed his ass and that his social game is ass to Rachel. And so I think it's kind of been lost there. But Rachel did try to manipulate him in the conversation I just watched and try and make it seem like she's trying with him and he's the one that's throwing her under the bus, and that he thinks that she's the same Rachel in Big Brother 12, but that was so long ago. She's grown over the past 15 years, which she clearly has. And even on a game level, that conversation with Keanu does tell me that she has grown. So I liked all of this from Rachel and Keanu today. I liked their little rivalry. I liked that they get on each other's nerves and want the other one out of the game. Or I guess Keanu wants to get Rachel's allies out of the game first. But whatever. The Keanu and Jimmy rivalry is still entertaining me as well. On the episodes, I love that every time Jimmy has a rehearsed read towards Keanu, Keanu whacks it away pretty easily. I appreciate that Jimmy is trying to be good TV. It does come across on TV a little too contrived. I like mess though, but we'll get back to Jimmy here in a second. The next big topic has to be Adrian. I said last night on my video that I thought Adrian was going to be pretty safe this week, so that he must have a good social game. But since then, he looks like the pawn that might easily go home. And it is his own fault. Adrian has connected himself to Kelly way too hard. Of all people, Kelly. And in doing so, he's still alienating himself from everyone else in the house, which could make him an easy target this week. This really is only if both Keanu and Kelly come off the block. We already know Keanu will be coming off the block. Kelly still has to do something to earn her second veto for the week. But if she does and they come down, it seems as though Jimmy is still going to nominate Amy and Will, although there was some discussion about possibly nominating Kat, I think. I can't remember if it was Kat or Lauren. Kat and Lauren are very easy to mix up right now because they're both not doing a whole lot, and they're both the same archetype to me of just kind of being the young, mildly attractive girl that's going to not play a whole lot. Regardless of that, I still think Jimmy is leaning towards putting up Amy and Will. If Amy ends up on the block besides Adrian after the AI Arena blockbuster, Rachel's going to do all she can to keep Amy in this game. Again, much like Rachel did last week. And Morgan did a lot of work to save Amy last week too. But I think Rachel will definitely try hard to save Amy again. And I don't know if Rachel can do that. The numbers are a little muddy in saving Amy against Adrian, but it is very much possible. What's worse, though, is if Adrian is up against Will at the end of the week, I think it might be even harder for Adrian to stay, because I think a lot of people might see Will as someone they can beat in competitions. And right now, I just think it will be an even closer vote if it comes down to Adrian and Will. So Adrian could be in danger, and I'm not seeing Adrian do anything on the feeds. Last week, we saw Zay campaigning the entire week, and did that work for him? No. But it would be nice to see Adrian do something. I think Adrian did say that he's waiting until the veto ceremony to start campaigning, but I think he needs to start working a little bit harder than he is. I think Jimmy might have kind of gave him a false sense of confidence that he's going to stay this week. Jimmy, as HOH, has told Adrian that he's the pawn and that he will make sure Adrian stays this week. But I think Jimmy is already forgetting because Jimmy's always wearing his HOH robe. But Jimmy's power runs out tomorrow after the veto ceremony. Jimmy's the HOH. He's making the nominations. But when it comes down to a vote, he has no power. And there's no tiebreaker vote this week either. And a lot of the girls are thinking that Jimmy is playing scared this round. So they might just turn on Jimmy for the shits, basically. Some of the girls think Jimmy's playing scared. Some people online think Jimmy's playing scared. As I said yesterday, he tried the right play for him, trying to get Keanu and Kelly out who are coming after him. I still think getting Amy out is actually kind of good for Jimmy's game. Amy hates Jimmy. And last week, before Amy started calling Jimmy a mean girl this week, Amy tried to get Jimmy up on the block. So Jimmy has a reason for Amy to go. I mean, that sucks for Ashley and Rachel, but this is Jimmy's HOH. I don't think Amy is his target. She kind of was yesterday. It kind of changed a bit today. If Jimmy just gets out Will this week, I don't think he changes a whole lot, but I still wouldn't call it playing scared. I would call it playing, safe. I think safe is the better word than scared. Some people think Jimmy should go after Rachel this week, and the way the show started, that Jimmy really seemed like he wanted Rachel out of the game, but I don't think that it is Jimmy that necessarily needs to take the shot at Rachel on his HOH. They actually have a good relationship right now, so I don't know. I feel for Jimmy's week. I mean, this week had so many powers, it's been kind of ridiculous. So it's not Jimmy's fault that he couldn't get out his target this week with literally 3 advantages entering the game, plus a veto, plus the AI Arena blockbuster. I mean, come on, it's a bad week to be HOH. Some quick other things. Riley's still obsessed with Catherine. He apparently loves saying her name. He said it over and over today. Yeah, Riley's just a weirdo to me. Nothing's changed there. I think a few people are clocking that Rylie just wants to try and have an easy ride in this game, but he's kind of the ultimate floater. I mean, you could say the same for Lauren and Kat right now as well, but Rylie might be the biggest floater. The good thing that Kat is that Kat has kind of Rylie wrapped around her finger. Kat could use Rylie in this game, but like if Riley's not even trying to win competitions, is he actually going to be any help to Kat's game? That's the part where I'm like, ugh. To me, it's just like, why is Rylie even in here? Why was Rylie cast? He's the worst casting of the season. And that includes Kelly, who might try and give her second veto power away. If like she gets the second veto, she has told Adrian that she would love to give it to him. And Adrian's been like, no, you can't do that. But if I was Adrian, I would try and talk her ass into that. Like, yeah, Kelly, that would be a real Tucker move, because Kelly really seems to think she is the Tucker this season. So, yeah, maybe Adrian, if he is supposedly the best player of all time, like he came into the game to try and be, maybe he should think like that, but he doesn't seem to think like that. Last thing I want to talk about is that on the episode we saw that Zach is onto Mickey's power because of the way the competition was. And that actually kind of makes me less upset with Mickey and the fact that Mickey told Morgan about the power. Because so far Morgan has protected that info. Mickey and Morgan are like that right now. So I trust Morgan with that info with Mickey. Although Morgan, as I said at the beginning of this video, her ass is all over the place and her obsession with Zach could cost her quickly. But I'm a little less upset with Mickey, because if Zach is the one onto Mickey with the power, that's production's fault. Production clearly doesn't know how to give out a secret power in this game if the competition was a little obvious for the people next to the people getting powers. So, yeah, if I was Mickey, it's hard to say this because I don't know if I would use the power. I actually think it could be bad for Mickey's game. If she uses the power, someone calls her out on the power, it's gonna hurt her social game. And right now, her social game is her golden goose. She can't have her social game cooked. I think it could really backfire on Mickey, and I don't think it's gonna be her own fault for telling Morgan. I think it's gonna be because of the shitty way production set up this power. Anyway, that's all for now.